Could you expand on the importance of getting the sound right at the source, implications of this approach as opposed to fixing it later in the mix?
You can move a microphone an inch, and that gives you all the top end that you're missing, all the bottom end you're missing, and that's far better than EQing it, because it doesn't put, as soon as you start EQing it, you start putting phase shifting into it and all that sort of stuff. So, if you just move the mic a little bit, it sounds much better. You haven't had to add it in your EQ, and it's a truer sound, and it's a more solid sound because it's not got phase shifting going on in it because of the equalizer. So I was very fortunate to work with really good people when I began, and that's how it seemed like to be a perfectly logical thing to do. When I started, it was tape, and you had 20 odd tracks or 16 tracks or things like that. So you always had to record everything live, and people reacted to what they were hearing. So if it sounded good, they played better and had more fun, and the record sounded better. And the concept of fixing it later, it is a kind of joke, really, whereas the final thing is, don't worry, we'll fix it in retail. You try and get it right at the beginning. You try and get the sounds right. You try and get the song right. You try and get the mood right. You try and get all those things right at the beginning, and then capture that on tape or on a hard disk as you do now. But that's should be your goal. If you got great players, they have a great sound, and that's one of the fundamental lessons I learned very early on, was that all the sound comes from their hands, and all you got to do is put the right microphone in front of it and make sure it doesn't overload anything, and it'll sound great.
Yep.
I've had the same kit, the same mics, and you put the drum tech playing the drums on it, and then the real drummer comes in and sits down, and it's chalk and cheese. Like, one of that sounds like the drum tech, and the other one sounds like a mother drummer. So, and you haven't done anything. Or, and same with guitars. I mean, great guitar players, the sound just oozes out of their hands, and doesn't matter what you do. If you got a bad guitar player, it sounds crap, and it doesn't matter what you do, it'll always sound crap. But if you've got a great one, all you got to do is not try and fuck it up. I'm very fanatical about making sure everything is correct, so that when you press record, and that was one of the things with working with people like Elton and stuff like that, is they expect it all to be working first time, because they value their performances. And I think it's one of the things that has been lost with the ability to be able to record endlessly. They only expect to be able to sing it once or twice. Or, Jonathan Moffat playing the drums, he only plays one take. And also I do a lot of jazz stuff where, it's a performance that might go for an hour, and you got to make sure everything's right. So I'm very fanatical about making sure everything's working and right and correct, and it's going to have enough headroom, and tested everything. And rather than trying to EQ stuff, moving a mic a tiny little bit makes all the difference. And all those sort of things, so that when you press record and somebody's playing, then you're going to capture it, and there's not going to be a problem. And I think I try and still now try and record, when I record bands and produce bands, try to get them to value their performances. Don't go, well, it's all right, we'll do 40 takes and comp it later. And I think this whole Pro Tools thing has really changed that philosophy in a lot of people, and a lot of young guys who never grew up with tape, where the decision to go over something was irrevocable. If you went over that solo was gone forever. There was no, oh, well, we'll just go back to the one we had before, Apple Z. It was gone. So it was a different sort of philosophy, and so I try and instill that in people now, because I think it makes people play better if they value their performance more, and if they see you valuing it more by making sure that there's never a situation where you go, oh, can we do that again? It went into the red, or oh, sorry, we didn't record, or the people I was working with in the early days, they just wasn't an option, and that's why I got those sort of gigs, because I was very particular about making sure everything was working and right, and I don't think I ever had any of those situations. I loved that, because that pushes you and your abilities, and they really respect and are grateful for you valuing what their work is as well. I mean, if some engineer goes, oh, yeah, sorry, I have to do it again because I didn't have it plugged in right, it means you're not giving them the respect that they deserve for their performance. So I think it's a two-way street, and that's what I enjoyed with working with people like that, because they do really appreciate it, that somebody else also is trying to, on the other side of the glass, is trying to give it as much as they're trying to give it. In a long way around, that's my answer to that question.